Let's talk about sweaty hands treatment. Should you use interferosis or antihydral or Botox, or should you get surgery? Let's compare all of them in this video, and at the end of this video you would have your answer. Let's first talk about interferosis. I am pretty sure you already know about this if you have hyperhidrosis. It's an electronic device where you put your hands in trays of water and you would get mild electric shock. And you use this in your hands, on your hands, and for your feet and also for your underarms. While talking about underarms, I just remembered my experience with this. So just 5 6 years ago, I tried using interferosis for my underarms because I have hyperhidrosis inside my underarms as well. And when I tried, it completely burned my underarms. My God, it was so brutal. After that, I never used interferosis for my underarms. Now let's talk about the cost of interferosis. It starts from like 400 and it can go up to like 800, and it's a one time purchase, so you will buy this for one time and it's yours. Now let's talk about time. You would need 3 to 4 sessions, and a session would be like an hour long, like 40 to 50 minutes, and 3 to 4 times a week in order to see some noticeable results. And it's very time consuming, I know. Effectiveness is medium. Why? Because you need to be really consistent with this thing, and not everyone sees great results with interferosis. Now let me just go over the cons. First of all, it's really uncomfortable because you would be putting your hands in trays of water and you would be sitting there like for 10 to 20 minutes, and it's really uncomfortable. I hated doing that. I used interferosis for like 5 years and then I quit it. And I have my reasons. And next, it's somewhat painful. Why? Because you would be experiencing the mild current shocks in the water. So that's why it can be painful for some people, especially if you are sensitive. Next, I hated this fact. It's so time consuming. Like literally an hour a day for like 3 to 4 times per week in order to see some dryness. That is just too much. Now, let's talk about antihydral. For some of you, you haven't heard about this thing, and but if you have been watching me, you already know about this. I have been using this for like more than a year ago, and it is one of the best solutions I have found for my hyperhidrosis. It had it has made me dry, like literally so good. Now, let's talk about the cost. This tube costs like 30 to $40, and it's made in Germany. So it's easily available in Europe and even in the West. But for Asia, I think you need to do some research in order to find there. A single tube can last up to 6 months, 3 to 6 months. For me, it even lasted more than 6 months. And I use it like 3 to 4 times a week, especially in summers. And if it's winter, like once or twice a week. Effectiveness, my God, this thing is really solid. Like really solid. It's really effective. Now it has few cons, not major, but very minors. First is sandpaper hands, dry hands, flaky hands, yellow hands. And personally, I haven't, experienced much of these. And then you can also get prune fingers. This I get sometimes because I swim. Recently, I started learning swimming. So when you spend a lot of time in water, you get prune fingers, and especially if you have been using antihydral, this can be a bit annoying for you. Now, let's talk about Botox. Now, this is a medical treatment. My God, I was really, close to getting Botox. Look at this thing. Shit, man. The images are so painful, I can't even describe. Now, let's talk about the cost of Botox. It can start from $1,000 and it can go up to like 2,500, and it's a cost per session. The results can last from 4 to 6 months, and especially if it lasts like 4 to 6 months, you would have to get it again in the year. So it's twice per year, and like the cost is really, really expensive. Effectiveness, since it's a medical treatment, it's really effective. You know, you could get very dry with Botox. Now, there are hell lot of cons here. First of all, it's really, really costly. Like imagine spending $5,000 per year on your dryness. Shit, man. Secondly, it's painful as fuck. Like literally, look at this. They put few dots on your hands where they would be injecting this is the Botox. So this chemical they would be injecting into these holes, like into these dots. and and my God, this is so painful. I have personally talked to people who have done this, and this shit is terrible. And the next, one of the biggest cons is loss of grip, and of course it's temporary. But if you are serious about your grip, like you do weightlifting, then this is something to consider about. Have I personally done Botox? No. I was very close to getting this, but thankfully I did not. Now let's talk about the ETA surgery. Let's start from the cost. EDS surgery can cost you like $10,000 to $25,000. Of course, it's a one time. Time, it's instantly. Like they cut your nerves. So when you wake up, like it starts from there. Effectiveness is really high. Like this is the last option for people, and there are so many cons for this. First of all, extremely costly. Of course, 10,000 to 20,000 to $20,000. It's really, really costly. Plus, the biggest con, severe compensatory sweating in almost 50 to 90% cases. So imagine getting this surgery which costs like $20,000 for your sweaty hands, and after the surgery is done, you don't sweat from your hands anymore. But you get compensatory sweating, which is like you don't sweat from your hands, now you start to sweat from your back, and with the same intensity. So you if you were dripping like from your hands, now you would be dripping from your back. So you are just trading sweat, and 90%, that is a lot. Do I recommend this? Hell no. Have I personally tried? Of course not, and I won't be trying this at all. Now let's talk about the conclusion. Let's conclude the comparison, and let's talk about what should you get. If you are starting out, if you have hyperhidrosis like me, I have in my palms, feet, and underarms, I highly recommend going with antihydral. Why? Because the effectiveness is really high and the cost is like nothing compared to others. But if in some cases you can't get antihydral for some reason, then the next option you have is interferosis. I don't like this, but I'm still recommending this because I have used this for like 5 years and I still hate this. But it's expensive, but it's a one time cost. The effectiveness is medium, but if you are really consistent with this, you could, see some difference. Do I recommend Botox? Mm, like, I would recommend Botox if there's some really, really special occasion for you where you really need to be dry. For some cases, like if you have your wedding, things like that. If not, I don't think it makes sense to put this chemical into your hands and spend that much money per session, and it's not even long lasting. Like it lasts for 4 to 6 months. ETS surgery, I don't recommend this at all. For some people, they choose this path, but if you are considering this, make sure you do your research. I was like 6 months away from surgery. I have made already a video about this. You can check it later. Now let's conclude the comparison. What should you do? Choose the antihydral. If you can't get the antihydral, buy the interferosis.